Welcome to a new episode of the podcast Lead the Future, Change the Conversation, an honest and unedited podcast to actually change the conversation. And I'm Arjan Visser, your host and futurist. And today I chat with my dear friend Grant Phypers on leadership, future, and peers. Grant is an inspirator and a covert whisperer of leadership. He stands alongside people in high places and influence, actually to help them to find alignment and boldly step into who they want to become. Grant, I'm really happy to finally have you back on the podcast. So, welcome. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here. It's going to be good. Excited.
Yes. Well, in the introduction, there are a few words that I really want to actually circle back to a couple of times, but
Sure.
it all starts with being a covert leadership whisperer and standing alongside people of that are probably really busy. How do you stay focused on your personal journey, your personal leadership amidst the busyness?
Do you know what? I don't really give much attention to that. I don't practice that, and whether I should, perhaps I should do more of that. And I love reading books around leadership. I love reading stories and autobiographies, and someone's and reading about someone's life, someone's heart for a situation, or the way that they have dealt with a situation. I think there's so much richness in reading and taking what others have gone through, have been through, and how they've overcome, and trying to work those into the ways that they've done that, work those into your life to think, okay, how does that work out for me? How does that make me feel in these situations? What can I learn from others? And I think a long time ago I went through quite a massive change, and that really helped me to understand who I am as a man, as an individual, and how do I want to be treated, and how do other people want me to treat them, and how I should treat them. And that compassion, the empathy that I've had to cultivate, it hasn't come easy, has really helped me to come alongside others and amongst the busyness of life and what I do, which is my sort of my work.
Yeah.
And I slip into it now. I find myself, and this is only because of the feedback and what people have told me, that I slip into this mode. It's part of who I am. It is who I am. And if I'm talking to someone away from business, away from work, away from what I do, I have this ability to be able to listen, to hear, and to connect, and to speak into people's lives if that is relevant, if that's required. And I think it's about, for me, first and foremost, listening to people and actually connecting and getting them to trust you and to see that you are someone who listens, that isn't looking for the next conversation or the next person to jump from them and to move on, but actually you give them time. There's eye contact, there's communications, there's connection. And with anything that we do in life that we want to get better at, we have to practice that. And so for me, it has been a long lesson over the years, but been able to walk with people and to listen to them and to be able to speak into their life and to encourage them is the greatest gift that I've ever been given.
Yeah. Well, you're busy. Phone's ringing.
And I have turned that off now.
Yeah. Well, there's one word that comes back from the introduction. It's the word alongside. And you share that you have learned through the years to listen um, and actually have and make connection with people, look them in the eyes. How conscious are you? And probably by the question, it comes all back that actually that you are modeling the opposite as well. Like if you want people to, if you are listening to them, actually you give them the feeling to be heard. So
Mm.
you have modeled somewhere that they actually open up and speak.
Yeah.
If you coach them, you have probably modeled how you are coachable yourself. A bit from the bigger perspective, we tend to ask people to follow us as a leader, but we are only modeling leadership. But we have to first model how to follow as well. Not for them to tell how to follow, but actually model how we follow others. Because, following, learning, receiving coaching, speaking up, being seen and heard, they all require, in a way, a model. So how do you model in general, um, how you are coachable yourself?
That's a good question. I think my wife would laugh. She'd say, "Look, you never listen to me." I always would probably try and, a typical man, I suppose, would try and finish her sentences or try and work a solution out and find a solution to the problem that she's got rather than listening. So I think, that's where I would say that I come up short. But I think I've learned a lot from my marriage and being in this environment where taking on board what the closest person I have in my life is going through or wants to um, convey, or for me to understand. I've had to listen and learn to listen really well. And it's been agony at times because I've just wanted to find a solution to that problem and for her to move on and move past that and overcome it. And I'm a very positive individual, and if I see negativity or someone um, throwing a pity party or just dwelling in negative thoughts, dwelling in misery, all I want to do is raise them up and lift them up and pick them up and say, right, and speak positive words of affirmation into their life to encourage them, to rile them, to incentivize them, to motivate them, to bring them out of that darkness. But it's been a real
Yeah.
exercise for me to be able to understand that I need to listen. I need to be coached, and I need to know how to respond in certain situations rather than default setting of Grant, but in a way that everyone is different. We all deal with problems and adversity in a different way, and there are different trigger points in each and every one of us. What makes us angry, what makes us anxious, what makes us fearful, what makes us happy. And so it is really understanding that everyone that I walk with or approach or coach or whatever, it is going through something completely different. And I need to discern that. I need to respond that. And so by feeling the situation and by seeing them and understanding and trying to get a perspective of where they are physically and how their body is moving, their body language, how they are conveying themselves to me, whether it's a heightened state of anxiety or they're speaking quickly or whatever it might be, or agitated.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think over the last 15 years, it's about, okay, body language is a real key to everything. Eye contact is everything. And we can tell so much from someone. And I've had to learn how to respond and how to respond in certain situations and to certain people and personalities when I predominantly would want to scream or just shake them and put them into it, like, come on, pull yourself together. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been hard, and it's still, we
Well,
never.
what I like in your answer it's really a rich answer. But you said like probably if you ask my wife, like the reference to being in the small ecosystem, the micro community, the household, it
Mm.
is I recognize that as well. Like I don't like pity parties, but if I would say that in my household, I would say, yeah, because you think you have the sole right to do have a pity party. So it is that kind of thing that I hear back from my clients that I really help them in achieving. And then when my kids would hear that, they think, serious? Serious? I know he's developing it, but is he already in that stage? That kind of reaction.
Is he
Um,
already there? Yeah.
but that is there is that another word you've used. Yeah, like you're cultivating an environment for yourself, which you use to model skills, growth, journey towards those people you stand alongside with, but you also actually invite them to give themselves permission to cultivate that environment for themselves. Because in your introduction, what I said, people in high places, people of high influence, I think their biggest job is that competition between keeping up the appearance versus how can it be more of me. And so in that setting, as a covert coach, because actually you're just a friend, you're alongside of them.
Yeah.
What have you seen that is really a key, just one of the keys? Don't ask you for your top three. I'll do in the next podcast, but in this podcast it is like, what is a key to actually deal in that tension between what people expect from me as being in this position versus who I really want to be, and contribute or add more of myself to it. How do you? What is a key in that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and I think it's the only thing that is rattling around listening to you speak, is silence. And silence is a great icebreaker. It forces one of you, if you're coaching on a one-to-one, to speak, but it also gives license to the person that you've come alongside to know that it's okay and that actually you're there to listen. It's almost as if you're giving them authority because of that silence. You've created a space of trust and vulnerability, and it gives them that license to know that they are in control of this conversation, and wherever it goes and whatever it does, they can decide the direction of it. And so I just sit and wait and I listen, and I might ask one question and allow that person the freedom to talk as long as they like about any particular given subject. It could be 20 minutes. I've not said a word. And throughout that time, I would be just listening and ready to create that space again for them when they've come to the end of what they wanted to say. But silence is so important in any relationship. Is when we quit talking and we listen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't expect that answer, but I'm just processing it myself. So I create a bit of silence. Um, I love what you say about creating that space and not filling that space. It triggers thoughts like, if they don't, of giving them the ability to step into it themselves and find the ownership for themselves and not actually doing it for them. And we all know the difference between the mental difference between taking ownership yourself and having it being it meaningful versus hearing what the right thing is to do and actually trying to commit yourself, but it immediately is the tension that it doesn't fit what you are about because it's not purposeful. And in that giving them of using silence to actually give them the space. I'm actually processing myself, giving them the space to actually find what matters to them.
Yeah, trust. Trust between you and whoever you've come alongside is important, and I think immediately, if that person doesn't know you, by creating that space and being silent, trust is already the level of trust that they have in you is already increased, because they know it's not about me, it's about them, and they've walked into that place knowing that they're important, that they are special, that they are talented, incredible, amazing people. And I think it's almost like that raising someone else up above you. It's elevating someone else. It's taking that position of humility, and not a false humility, but taking that place of, this is not about me. This engagement, this discussion isn't about me. It's about them. And you see people come alive when you give people that authority. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I think that you said two things that that just something popped in my mind. So I'm just sharing it. Like trust, without trust, it's ridiculous to ask performance. Although performance, especially in high performance cultures, is worshipped without having trust, which is ridiculous. So people, but I heard the what you need to build trust is not trustworthiness, but what you need is openness. So if you want to build trust, you need to model openness, which probably goes to like you let your pre-assumptions go, you're ready to listen, to learn, and all the other elements that comes to mind in that perspective of what you just said, trying to connect it together. I'm not trying to go there, not today.
But I think it's key. I think it's key that vulnerability is key. And I think our vulnerability is people that coach or come alongside others. If people can see that you are genuinely interested in them, that you are vulnerable yourself, and so you share openly bits about your own journey and the struggles that you've had, you connect with people on a human level, and on the basis that actually they feel that you're not elevated above me, you're the same as me, you've been through struggles as well, you're not perfect. And I think that makes some of the best coaches and leaders around that I know, is when they've made mistakes, they've messed up, they've gone through times of grieving, they've gone through times of incredible challenge and heartache and adversity themselves, and they've negotiated and navigated that particular part of their life, and they brought themselves out, and they've equipped themselves through that process. And I think it aligns us with other people on that human level when we can be empathetic about what they're going through and why they've approached us to, and why they feel that connection.
Yeah. And the other one, it comes back. The other one is, you mentioned being humble, and we could translate being humble by decreasing ourselves so that the other person can increase. But I think that's not the reason why we're humble. I think there's another like opposite word. The reason to be humble is because you want to be favorable. You are granting the other person a favor by being humble, so the other person could step into something. And that is for me, like that modeling, sometimes it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Like if you want to build trust, model openness, vulnerability, giving yourself permission, not having a mindset that is open to be influenced and learn. if you want to be humble, be favorable, just don't hold back, actually, because then it becomes false humility, and you actually retract yourself from the conversation.
Yeah.
And as a coach, maybe most of us do this unconsciously competent, but it's good to just focus on, like, these are the steps we do, and be aware that maybe one of the most valuable things as a coach you can do is model those things: openness, vulnerability, learning, following, being coached, granting favor, don't think out of lack, those kind of elements.
Yeah.
That's the heavy philosophical note for today. So, just for the time and having more than enough for the next series of podcasts, I just want to thank you. I really loved your answers. It got me thinking. And for those listening, like, just reach out. Reach out. Businessrevivalist.com/coach gives you an opportunity just to have a conversation. If you want to reach out because you want to connect to Grant, just reach out to me. I will connect you through. But it is because it's really about that, maybe that loose end in you being a coach or being coached, is to actually explore those loose ends of what it means to be vulnerable, open, humble, listening, be silent, and all the other aspects we said. I just invite you, reach out, and actually do yourself a favor, and get yourself on track, to learn more and develop in the direction that helps you to become that fuller version of yourself, and actually be bold, equipped into stepping into who you want to be. So thanks for listening, Grant. Thanks again, and
It's a pleasure.
see you in another session.